Have you ever walked into a data interview thinking my project is ready to go, and then 5 minutes into actually presenting it, you can feel yourself losing the room. You start rambling, you get nervous because you're not sure what level of detail is actually important to share with these people. Or maybe even on the job as an analyst, you're asked to share an update with some stakeholders, and as you're presenting, you find yourself over-explaining because you think the more data, the more charts, the better. Now, this isn't because you don't know the tools, and it's not necessarily because your analysis is wrong. It's because you haven't yet practiced what comes after the analysis, which is explain the so what of your work to a room of real people. If you're new here, I'm Christine. I'm a former data director and a hiring manager who's worked in data since 2015. And now I've helped countless working professionals and analysts transition and succeed on the job by focusing on standout skills in communication, business intuition, and analytical thinking. On the job and in interviews, I've seen that doing the project itself is only half of the equation. The other half is how you actually share it with other people, how you present it, how you frame the problem, and how you help drive real business decisions. That's actually what I train inside my mentorship program, the Analytics Accelerator. And today, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to run through a real stakeholder style presentation so that you can see what a strong data presentation looks like in action. And stick with me to the end to see how we nail one of the hardest parts, which is ending on strong recommendations and next steps the way that a real data analyst would. First, let's dive into some critical do's and don'ts. Now, early in our career as data analysts and in school, we're taught to show everything, document our work, show our entire approach, but that doesn't actually translate well to a real business context. Because honestly, a VP or hiring manager doesn't want a tour of your entire process. They want to immediately know why this is important to them. So what does this actually look like in practice? Now, most candidates will start by introducing a data set, whereas a standout analyst will start by introducing the business problem and the business context, so that that stakeholder knows immediately why this is important to them before a number even shows up on their screen. Most candidates also show basically every single chart or table that they've made, whereas a standout analyst knows that editing ruthlessly to get down to the core message is the entire point of the presentation. In today's demo, I'm actually going to do a walkthrough of a presentation that doesn't have any visualizations at all, and you'll still see how I make that story come across. Most candidates also end with their findings and then leave the so what and the next steps to the people in the room, whereas a standout analyst actually takes that as part of their responsibility because they act as business partners with other teams. So they end on some clear next steps and recommendations, even if it's just some directional guidance on what to focus on next. And most candidates present their slides. They read directly off of the screen, whereas a standout analyst is actually comfortable enough with their analysis that they're able to riff off the slides, adapt their communication on the fly, and really read the room so that what they're saying actually resonates with that specific audience. So in the demo that I'm going to do for you, I'm going to be presenting to a room of technical and non-technical people. So this would be including a few analysts, maybe some marketing analysts, and also a marketing manager. And the goal of this analysis is to help refine the marketing team's budget over the next few months. By the way, if you're watching this and thinking, I could do this analysis, but when it comes to the actual communication and storytelling, then that's where I get lost, then you might want to check out my mentorship program down below, because we've just opened up spots for the next cohort where you can have a direct conversation with me about whether this is the right fit for you. We practice the actual delivery, structure, and stakeholder follow-up questions that you will get on the job so that you can show up to these conversations with confidence. All right, well, first of all, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone for joining today's meeting, taking some time out of your busy days. We are going to do a high-level walkthrough of some analysis that I worked on with the marketing team, just to share some of the insights that we discovered about our more experimental marketing campaigns that we ran this first quarter, with the goal of honing our marketing budget over the next few months. So I'm going to talk through a quick project overview, then I'm going to get us all on the same page about some of the North Star metrics that we decided to focus on for this analysis. Then we will do a quick deep dive into each of those metrics and share some of the insights that we discovered, and then we'll end on some recommendations and next steps for the team. For anyone who is interested in some of the more technical aspects of the project, as well as looking more into some of the supplementary data that we've included, then we have an appendix at the end of the slides. So I'll make sure to send the slides out to everyone after today's session. So the goal of this project, well, first we wanted to investigate the performance of the marketing campaigns that we ran for the first quarter of this year. For some context here, these are more experimental campaigns we ran for the first time. They had different kinds of copy, different kind of messaging than the campaigns that we normally send out. And so today's analysis is really focused on that subset of experimental campaigns and seeing how they performed. Overall, when it comes to the marketing budget, there's really two primary goals that we're focusing on. So the first one is to raise awareness of our company's brand across the country. And number two, to increase the number of customer signups. So along those two goals, there are a few key metrics that we decided to hone in on. So to increase awareness, we focused on this metric called click-through rate. So this is the number of people, or rather the percent of people who see a campaign and actually click on the associated link. So it's basically a good measure of how much curiosity or intrigue do you generate from this specific campaign or from this specific marketing ad. And so we want this number to go up. And then for increasing signups, there were also two metrics that we decided to focus on here. The first one was the sign-up rate, which is basically a conversion rate. It's the number or percent of people who see that advertisement and then actually go and buy a Row Health plan. So obviously we want this number to go up as well. And then on the flip side of that, we were also looking at a metric called cost per signup. So this is basically our CAC, or cost per acquisition. It's how expensive it is to bring a new member onto our platform, onto our insurance. And it's the average number of dollars spent in order to acquire a new signup for each campaign. So this number we want to go down. Now, there were a lot of other metrics that we could have also focused on here in our analysis, but we really wanted to just dial in on these three metrics to help break the tie in our analysis in terms of which campaigns perform better than others. Just to anchor us on a few industry benchmarks, and so you get a sense of where we are compared to some of our competitors, and also what the range of these metrics were over the last quarter. For the click-through rate, our average click-through rate is 9.5% across 8.4 million impressions. So as an industry benchmark, this is we're a bit higher than the industry benchmark, which is around 6% for other insurance companies running marketing ads like ours. So we're doing pretty well there. And then actually with the sign-up rate, this is where we're doing a bit less than average compared to our peers. So our sign-up rate is only 0.2% for these more experimental campaigns across 16,000 new customers. I think the industry average is more, so around like 2 to 3%. So there's definitely some opportunity here, which is what we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then for cost per sign up, in the first quarter of this year, our average cost per sign up for these more experimental campaigns was just $2.20, which is also lower than the industry benchmark. And our cost per sign up in this quarter also ranged from 60 cents all the way to $124 per campaign, with some outliers actually ranging even higher, which I will also get into in a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to talk through a few deep dive insights, just narrowing in on what we observed on each of these metrics. The first metric we wanted to look at is click-through rate. So again, raising awareness, which campaigns are most effective there. And what we found was that one campaign category, Health for All, was clearly the most popular here. It had a click-through rate of 36% compared to other campaigns that actually had much higher impressions. So Health for All and Benefit Updates, as the two winning campaign categories, they had a click-through rate that was like 3 to 4 times better, our average click-through rate of about 9 to 10%. Then when I actually broke these campaigns out into their subcategories, so for anyone who doesn't know, each of these campaigns also has subcategories of which we've categorized the different kinds of messaging or the different kinds of copy or the aesthetic on the actual campaign. And when I broke out Health for All and Benefit Updates into these subcategories, I noticed that the product promotion subcategory was actually the lowest performer by far for each of them. So product promotion within the Health for All campaign category actually had a 0% click-through rate. This might be an anomaly, so this is something that we're looking into. But then product promotion within Benefit Updates was also only 7%. So both of those subcategories within these two campaign types were definitely the lowest performers, even though otherwise the campaign categories performed pretty well. Another thing I wanted to call out that we noticed was that the family coverage plan had a ton of impressions, but in our data set, for some reason, it showed no clicks. So we're looking into this with the marketing and engineering team right now because we need to investigate this. Not really sure yet if it's because of missing data or maybe because there was some issues with the campaign tagging. So we're looking into that. Then moving on to sign-up rate. So this is also where Health for All campaigns really dominated and was kind of carrying the entire group of these experimental campaigns. The sign-up rate for Health for All was about 3%. And when we also broke this out into those subcategories between health awareness and product promotion, it had a really high click-through rate and also a really high sign-up rate within the health awareness category. And then again, product promotion was quite a low performer within this Health for All category. I wanted to notice something that was a bit interesting. There was one campaign that we invested relatively a lot of money in, Healthy Living, the hashtag Healthy Living campaign, that we invested around, I think it was $46,000. There's more on this in the appendix, but we invested $46,000 in this campaign compared to all the other campaigns, which we invested around $10,000 to $20,000. So this campaign did actually result in the highest number of signups at 3,700, but the signup rate was actually, it was kind of mediocre compared to Health for All. So something to investigate there in terms of the budget. I think we have a recommendation later talking about reallocating some of the budget here to the Health for All campaign. And then the last metric that we investigated was cost per signup. Here we saw that cost per signup was quite high for Golden Year Security. Golden Golden Year Security was a campaign category where we're really targeting people who were slightly older, so 40s, 50s, 60s. And this campaign category performed pretty poorly, relatively speaking, compared to all other categories. So you can see it came in at $124 per signup compared to everything else that ranged from like a few cents to $50. Then within the two worst performing categories for cost per signup, so breaking Golden Year Security out and benefit updates out into their subcategories, I noticed that within the Golden Year Security campaign category, there was basically just one type of campaign that we ran that was driving that really high cost per signup. And then within benefit updates, there were two different types of campaigns that we ran. There was a policy information and product promotion, and policy information also was really driving that cost per click up, or sorry, that cost per sign up up. So those are the two different subcategories that we really want to look into and see what was going on there. I also wanted to just point out that we found some outliers here, so they're not actually included in this data set. There were just a few records and campaigns that had very, very few signups, and then because of that, they had an abnormally high cost of acquisition at around $1,200 to $1,300, much higher than our average. So again, that's something to look into as well. So I wanted to just wrap up with some high-level recommendations that we'll discuss in next week's marketing sync. So we're really focusing on two strategies here that we discussed with the marketing team. On one side, we want to remove the campaigns that were completely ineffective and then reallocate some of the budget towards the campaigns and categories that have better performance across those three North Star metrics. So our four main recommendations is number one, the Health for All campaign category definitely outperformed across most metrics compared to every other category. And it did much, much better than the Golden Year Security campaign, which is one of the campaigns with the highest cost per acquisition. So main recommendation here is to reallocate the budget from Golden Year Security to the Health for All campaign, because within the Health for All campaign category, we've actually invested a relatively low amount on them, just $20,000 on those campaigns. So also within the health awareness campaign category, there were two subcategories, if you remember. There was the health awareness category and product promotion category. And the health awareness category also was the outperformer within Health for All. So main recommendation there is to focus more on that health awareness type marketing and the health awareness related copy messaging. And then the affordability campaigns. So as I mentioned, there were two outlier campaigns that had an extremely high cost of acquisition, but I removed them from the analysis because the sample sizes there were so low. But these were campaigns that were focused more on the affordability of our plans, but ironically, they actually had a very high cost customer acquisition. So investigating the cause of this really high cost per sign up and considering just removing these campaigns and not running them in the next quarter. So I want to tie us up with some caveats and next steps, just some things to note about this analysis overall. Right now, when we're looking at this data, we've rolled everything up from the first quarter into one main analysis. We're going to continue running this analysis every single quarter. And so we'd want to start actually integrating more detail around the campaign start and end dates so that we can make some of these decisions and have a more granular view of how these trends have changed over time. And as I mentioned before, we also want to investigate those missing clicks for the family coverage plan category. Another thing that we're going to do in the future is also include more customer dimensions. We do have customer specific data, so things like what plan they sign up for, what state they're based in, even their gender. So we want to roll some of these aspects into this analysis in the future so that we can further tailor campaign recommendations based on these client demographics. I would also recommend exploring the relationship between campaigns and the claims that those customers end up filing. So it would be interesting to look at, based on what kind of marketing campaigns people came through, is there a relationship with the kind of claims that they file with us? And does that help us actually refine our messaging to find the ideal kind of customer or patient type? And then lastly, as I mentioned, this is really geared towards helping the marketing team refine their budget over the next few quarters. So next week, we're going to regroup with the marketing team to explore the potential impact of some of these recommendations and see what's actually feasible for our budget. And I did also want to mention that we did build a dynamic Tableau dashboard that people can use to explore these insights a bit more dynamically and just filter and explore on your own. So I have that linked here, and I will also send the slides out afterwards so that everyone can access the dashboard if they want to. All right, well, that's it for today's presentation. So thank you guys so much again. Happy to answer any questions. I do also want to mention that in the appendix, we have a little bit more information about the technical process, the data included, what we actually did in the analysis, and then some supplementary metrics on other data sets that we looked at and other cuts of the data that I might have mentioned, but wasn't as important for the actual analysis. So besides that, happy to take any questions in the meantime. So that's what it actually looks like in practice. As you can see, it's not about having the fanciest visualizations or packing everything into one slide or memorizing every single insight and metric word for word. I didn't even have any charts or visualizations in that presentation, just to show you how much the communication side of it makes the story come to life. A strong data presentation sets the stage and the context for everyone to get on the same page. Then it focuses on a few key metrics and deep dives into those insights with interesting findings and ends on a clear, structured path for what to do next. Now, all of this takes practice. It took me years to develop this skill on the job after getting tons of feedback from other peers, leadership, and my managers. And I think it's one of the key skills that helped me get promoted to a director of data role in just 3 years at Vimeo, which is why it's one of the most important things that I emphasize and train in my mentorship program. Because I've seen that when you learn the skill and hone it with real feedback, you can improve very quickly and start showing up to those conversations, impressing non-technical and technical people alike. So if you're interested in learning that skill so that you can become a Standout analyst, then check out the link down below. That's it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.